And welcome back here to On Deck on CSR with me, Charles Prodigy Richey, as we get ready to wrap up here with some NFL right now. And right now, usually supposed to be college football happening around this point in time, as we will keep things updated. I know a lot of conferences have decided to pull out, and usually it's about this time, as we are a week away from the start of the NFL season as well going on here. But as it relates to college football, let's take a look and see if we get some scores here across the board coming up right now. Got a couple of shutouts happening right now. As we got Marshall on top of Eastern Kentucky, 38-0. Army over Middle Tennessee, 21-0. And then that's about it for right now on this Saturday edition. I believe there's supposed to be some games happening in the next couple of days here, but we'll find out. But definitely going to be a real interesting year, as a lot of conferences have pulled out for this season. I believe the Big Ten is definitely one of them. But anyway, speaking of which, right now, you got, here we go, the situation with Chicago Bears. And we've been hearing reports recently by ESPN's Dan Graziano, who's basically saying that there's been like no clear-cut winner of who the Bears quarterback would be. And that there was a possible scenario that the Bears, they weren't going to find out and name their quarterback until like probably as early as this coming week. The reports that we were hearing. The only problem is with that, I mean, like I said this before, I was talking with my one partner too, who's still does shows here from time to time, I believe, Paulie C, It's Me, Paulie C 47, Paul Campos, who, which, by the way, big shout out and congratulations to him right now, who's actually found a board up gig in the media, and always great talking with you and bashing each other, but when it comes to like our topics. But the thing is, with Trubisky and Foles for the quarterback position, I don't think Foles did enough to really take the position from Mitch. Because, I mean, both of them seem to still be making mistakes and errors, I mean, in their training camp battles. Mind you, I'm still one of the people who last year, when they didn't play hardly any of their starters, it did nothing but create a big-time mess for their season. And they got too lax, and I still truly maintain and believe this. I believe the Bears, at the end of the day, like it or not, they showed signs of like what their future was going to be when they lost that playoff game to the Eagles back in 2018 season. I just feel like that's a team who ain't afraid to take the foot off the gas and not getting too focused right now. I mean, you got the team right now who defensively, going into this year, they dropped as far as like takeaways that they created, and that took a big time dip. And now that we already know the issues with the running game for the last few years, being ranked in the mid to high 20s. Last year, you had the rushing attack. Basically at that point in time, for rushing yards, 27th. And then as far as, like I said, like the defense, when it comes to the takeaways, ranked 22nd. By the way, yeah, 22, never mind. But anyway, like I said, you created 19 takeaways a year ago, which ranked 22nd. While the year before, you had, for a team, you had 36 takeaways. So 17 in that department, first and foremost. So you got the decision right now. You got Nick Foles. A guy who seems to be, does enough to open up the offense. Don't get me wrong. I just think the thing is with Nick Foles, and when it comes to Bears quarterbacks in general, Mitch Trubisky, people are going to remind Ryan Pace and the organization until they're blue in the face until the cows come home, is that they passed up on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. that would be the ultimate detriment to them. And speaking of which, with Deshaun Watson, who actually joins right now Patrick Mahomes in the Millionaires Club right now, as far as quarterbacks making their big time money. Basically, he signs a huge contract deal right now, going into this year as we look at it. And we're going to have that update in just a moment. But Deshaun Watson right now, he has a contract worth $177.54 million with nearly $111 million in guarantees. Versus Patrick Mahomes' 12-year deal. This is the largest total contract as well as guarantee in NFL history. He will make $39 million per year in base salary on average over the next 4 years. Congratulations, big fella, for getting Matt right there. Well deserved. As we look at it. But I gotta tell you right now, I mean, as far as like I said, you got Patrick Mahomes right now, who signed his deal, I think shortly after the fourth. Right now, he for the time being, who signed I think it was like a 12-year extension for the 2031 season. Yeah, 12-year extension. I mean, as far as average per year for right now, when it comes to quarterbacks, making $45 million. So, with Deshaun Watson making $39 million for this season, that's going to make him second most. He's going to be ahead of Russell Wilson by 35. And then you have Ben Roethlisberger coming in at fourth with $34 million. Then you got Jared Goff with $33.5, and then Aaron Rodgers. And Deshaun Watson, I mean, who's definitely been doing a lot to shore the load, I mean, with the Texans ever since coming in there since 2017. I believe Deshaun Watson right now, he is like the real deal. And it's a matter of time for he gets his shine and how you continue to build around him. I mean, one of the biggest weapons he's lost is, like I said, DeAndre Hopkins, who's now with the Cardinals. But, I mean, you get a legitimate running back, too, at the end of the day. I mean, coming into this year. Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's passed for a second most career high with 3,852 yards passing, 26-12 touchdown to interception ratio from last season. Well, he's got a career touchdown interception ratio of 71-29, which is very impressive. The only thing is, right now, he is 1-2 in the playoffs. And we lost twice at home to the Colts. And then recently blowing that lead against Kansas City Chiefs in that game. I mean, nothing's been more indicative than that. I mean, the Houston Texans, I mean, who, by the way, when you look at that franchise and what they've been able to do, I mean, when you got everything with head coach Bill O'Brien and what they've been able to pull off. I mean, just recently, they blew that 24-point lead in the playoffs to the Chiefs in Kansas City. I mean, other than that, Texas still got a lot of good they still got a good team coming up here. I believe this is a team right now, when we look at it, I mean, for their running game, well, you got David Johnson for the Cardinals, that trade, everything else. I mean, it could still be a legitimate, possible Super Bowl contender. I could still see. And I think right now, I mean, that's what's going to happen. But let's go ahead and start getting into one of the things I was just mentioning a moment ago, the surprising cuts that happened this past weekend. Right now, speaking of which, I mean, you had like surprising ones like Earl Thomas right now, all who's been named to the 2010 All Decade Team, formerly the Seahawks, and then most recently the Ravens. Having a little bit of misconduct issues in his last few stints. A great player of his caliber right now, who, by the way, who is looking for a home right now. And one of the questions seems to come up is like, will he end up with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys under head coach Mike McCarthy? I mean, this is a guy right here, I mean, who was born in Texas, played at Texas in college, and the 14th overall pick in the first round of the 2010 NFL Draft. Seven-time Pro Bowler, three-time All-Pro, with a Super Bowl, and much more. I mean, I can't believe like he's gonna land somewhere, and some team is definitely gonna like want to carry this guy. So I'll tell you what, it will definitely be mind-boggling if he is not acquired by a top-notch team or someone that could utilize him. I mean, I'm surprised like someone maybe like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ain't looking at this guy. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have just recently gotten a guy like Leonard Fournette, who was released by the Jacksonville Jaguars as a find himself in a luxury with TB12 and Bruce Arians. And you look at it right there. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, by the way, definitely had an interesting offseason. Not only getting, I mean, Tom Brady, the big prize, but then you also get door prize number 2 with Gronkowski. I mean, you got a little over $2 million in cap space. I doubt if it will go there, but I mean, still maybe work out a deal, maybe get him a little bit cheaper, a little bit reasonable. I mean, will he end up going somewhere like maybe like the Patriots right there? I mean, will Bill Belichick be able to make that usual sales pitch, doing things the Patriot way? I mean, that's another team who could probably like use him with services, especially when you got a guy like Cam Newton. If I'm Bill Belichick, I'm knocking on the door right now. I mean, you already lost Tom Brady right now. You have a bunch of guys, I mean, for this season who had opt out for the 2020 season going into this year. As far as like the Patriots right now with opting out, as far as like with COVID, they got 8 players not available this year. I would definitely look at one of their positions right there. You have to, and we'll find out how that works. But for the time being, let's see what happens here in the meanwhile. I mean, you got to take a chance on this guy. If not, I don't know what they're missing here. Yeah, we're wrapping up with some interesting NFL cuts that happened around the league. With me, Charles and Prodigy Richey, you're watching, you're listening to On Deck here on CSR. We got a lot more to get into for right now, and we're going down the line right here. Us to another big surprise one. Running back Adrian Peterson, no longer with the Washington football team. Former MVP of the league. And, of course, 7-time Pro Bowl, 4-time All-Pro. Has been named to who's been done a lot for the league here. I mean, this guy right here, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, who's really grinded, has been a lot. Been named to the All-Decade team back in 2000 for the 2010 All-Decade team, and deservedly so. 5th all-time in rushing yards leader. I mean, this guy who's definitely done a lot. I mean, his career, he's gotten about 14,216 yards. He is trailing Frank Gore right now for fourth all time, with meaning a little over 1,053 yards. I mean, 54 yards past him up. And Adrian Peterson, for the end of the day, right now, I would expect to be somewhere. And like I said, you look at the teams who's available who could probably use him. Maybe the Patriots I would name again. You can even probably look at like a team who's probably still in Super Bowl contention. Maybe the Eagles. I mean, who else? I mean, you could look at. You could probably look at the Colts right now. And other teams, I would imagine. I don't know about Green Bay. Maybe. I mean, would he really want to stick it to his former team that bad? Or maybe end up somewhere like, I don't know, like the Raiders. Be in Vegas. But as we run down the list, I mean, like some interesting guys who definitely stand out here. I mean, for this year, you also got former quarterback in the first round of the draft, and Josh Rosen, who was with the Cardinals, then went over to the Dolphins, got waived. He's no longer there. He's the guy who's looking for a job right now to a disappointing end. Then you also look at some other guys across the league here as we look at it. And that's all I would have to say on that. But I got to tell you, I think Adrian Peterson right now, if possible, maybe someone like the Kansas City Chiefs. If I'm not mistaken, the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, when you look at them, I know I believe they did draft a running back in the first round. I mean, for this year. I mean, the first round of the draft, the Kansas City Chiefs, they selected Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU. So we'll find out on that. But right now, we're going to go ahead and finish this show right now with Step Up to the Plate segment right now as we look at. And for my Step Up to the Plate segment going into this week, I am definitely going to be looking at right now Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Buckets. Guy who started off as a Chicago Bull, had doubts along the way if he could actually lead an NBA team to a title. Right now, you are pretty much on the verge of exiting the Bucks, either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. But then now that, you more than likely be facing the winner, possibly the Celtics or the Raptors, depending on how that series goes. So, if anything, I think the time is now. If you're ever going to win a chip in your career, this is the time to do it. It's your 9th season in the NBA. I'm all for Jimmy Buckets. I'm a Laker guy, but at the same time, coming from a guy to start off his career with the Bulls, that's one guy worth supporting and see if he can finish the job. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition here of On Deck here on CSR. You can catch me every Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com with my partner in crime, Reese the Ruler. If you guys ever want to follow me again on social media, on Twitter and Instagram, it is at Prodigy Richey, at On Deck CSR. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Hi, y'all.